Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on our test account and we are looking at the Dragon Roar. So we know this is ultimately going to be the hero. So the Draconic Chant is right here. And then of course, looking over here, this is what we're going to be looking like. Now this is the Draconis or the dragon form of Gwen. Now, of course, we've seen this over in the code, but I want to run through the skills and abilities that we're seeing in the Dragon Bloodline. So very similar to what we've seen in the past. This is going to give us the Draconis insignia, which means that we are going to have the ability to use these out of the special temple that is coming to actually summon both of these heroes. And of course, because we do have multiple heroes that are out, I'm not sure if it's going to be kind of on the same level as the Awakened heroes. Only time is going to tell exactly how strong these new heroes are. But looking at their abilities, which we'll look at now, it seems pretty broken overall when we look at the build of these heroes. So let's hop over, we'll take a look through the skills and abilities, and let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you guys think of these heroes. All right, guys, so here is the first one. Here is Gwyneth, the Winged Winner. As you can see from AFK Inside, the information is not out yet, but of course, they do data mine a lot of it. So looking here, we have Crystal Breath. Now, you'll notice right off the bat, this doesn't show that it's ultimate ability, but I'm assuming this is going to be a very, very similar build and design that we have seen with previous heroes. So of course, Crystal Breath, she shapeshifts, knocking down enemies around her, dealing X amount of damage of the attack level. In dragon form, she flies over to the allied side of the battlefield, breathes fire, X amount, and again, we don't have the numbers in here, her attack level as dragon tongue damage, and launches a crystal storm in the center of the battlefield that crystallizes all enemies, which I'm assuming is going to be crowd control. In this state, enemies cannot move and their acceleration is reduced, which is interesting with the acceleration for X amount of points. During the crystal storm, the battlefield is covered in crystals, which reduces speed movement of all beings. When enemies touch the crystal, they explode. That is right. This is in the middle of the battlefield, guys, that they're going to blow up. I'm dealing X amount of damage. And of course, after each storm, the crystals are renewed and the damage from their explosion or explosions is increased. At any given time, only one of the heroes can be in dragon form. This was another thing that we kind of talked about. Only one dragon can be in dragon form at one time. So again, they're kind of making this, and again, this is going to go dragon form with, again, I believe this is going to be the ultimate ability. At the beginning of battle, she receives X amount of units, energy, and for X seconds, once Calamity is triggered, allies normal attack deal additional damage. So normal attacks, so there's going to be a boost in normal attacks, which could be something to definitely remember for this hero. Now the Suppressive Fire. The normal attacks turn into a 2-hit combo and hits one enemy. Each arrow deals X amount of damage and explodes on impact, crushing jets to nearby enemies and stunning them. So now a second form of crowd control with this hero. Haste and attack speed do not affect her attack frequency or focus time. That's pretty interesting. That's the first time I believe that we have seen that haste and the attack speed are not going to change this, but they do increase her attack level. Each acceleration point increases the heroine's attack level. It's going to be pretty interesting, and I don't know if it is just the translation with the acceleration, but overall you can see is going to add up some damage. The damage of each arrow is increased. Then, of course, the damage of each arrow goes up again. For each acceleration point, Gwen's attack level is increased by X for each point. Now, looking at skills 3 and 4, we have Crushing Arrows. The effect activates every X seconds. Normal attacks are replaced by Crushing Arrows. Gwen focuses and fires arrows that pierce enemies, knocking them back, dealing damage. So again, the third ability is having a crowd control aspect in there. Damage is increased when a crushing arrow hits an enemy. The skill is reduced. Every time a crushing arrow hits an enemy, the damage from the normal attacks is increased. Now, the thing to note here is if you look closely, it is kind of showing the plus 30 signature item on this build. Even looking on the cleansing aura, you see the E60 right there, which again means that we're going to be using, and I believe we're going to have the signature items, we're going to have the essentially the engraving on here, and we're going to have the furniture piece kind of baked into these heroes. Now, the cleansing area is a passive effect. Having received damage from opponents using intelligence, she becomes invulnerable. That's right, she has an immunity to it for the next X amount of seconds. Damage from the enemies will be reduced by X. The effect activates so many times every second. So again, intelligence enemies are going to be out of the game, pretty much out of this if you're running Gwen. Now again, this is going to add a whole nother level of dynamics when it comes to AFK Arena. Damage dealt by intelligence enemies is is in the areas created areas further reduced, and then of course further reduced. And then the activation intervals of the effect is reduced by X amount of seconds. Gwen gains invulnerability and damage reduction from non-intelligent enemies within the purification area. We're going to have to see, because I believe this is going to be kind of an AoE effect that she does have. Now, right here, the Eye of the Dragon. Now, again, this looks like plus 10, 20, 30 signature item, which again, I was kind of thinking up here. But as you can see, this is going to be the signature item. 3 of 9 furniture, 9 of 9 furniture. So again, I believe at this point, they're going to have the exact same build. So we have the 309, or essentially the 30960 on these builds for these heroes. Don't know if this is supposed to be like a plus 40 signature item. Maybe it does add this additional effect out of there. But again, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. So the Eye of the Dragon, arrows launched using the Suppressive Fire skill will explode the crystal and gain their power. Then, of course, the further the enemy is from Gwen, the higher the damage. Very true to Gwen. If there is no opposing enemy, Gwen gets X points physical penetration, institution, and X points. So I believe there's going to be a lot of additional skills that are going to be baked in here. If a normal attack deals critical damage, each point of difference between the heroine's critical strike level and the target's critical block level is increased. So again, we're noticing a trend here with the normal attacks, which almost make me think some of the heroes like Aethys that boost up these normal attacks, or even a hero such as the awakened version of Lucius, which has normal attack damage, might be literally broken within these formations. Then, of course, the power of crystals. Each time an enemy crystallizes, she gains X points for the critical strike level and critical damage boost. Damage taken by crystallized enemies is increased by X, so she is going to have a damage amplification in there. Damage tongue damage increased to X. So again, looking at this hero, guys, pretty broken overall. Now, a couple things to note that I can have noticed going through here, and I don't know if you've picked up any of these, is we do have the 4 skills. So again, very similar to the traditional heroes that we see. We have the 4 skills. We have the Eye of the Dragon, which I believe, again, is going to be the signature item that Gwen possesses. We also do have the 9 of 9 furniture. And I don't know, again, some of the things is, number one, there's no special effect. There's no SP effect, very similar to what we see with the Awakened heroes. I don't think the Draconic heroes are going to possess that same ability that we have, like an overall arcing SP effect, which could really affect how these heroes perform. But of course, we can still put them with our Awakened heroes. Now, also, we know there could be, and there is, 3 other Awakened heroes that are going to be coming. A lot of players, again, were kind of speculating that it was going to be an Awakened version of Gwen, and it's not. It is going to be the Draconic version of Gwen that we are going to be getting. And you can see it is a caster, or excuse me, it is a Might hero right there. So we do have a Ranger, and it is going to use Might, but there is the new emblem, just like we seen earlier when it comes to these heroes and the build. So very, very cool build out on this. I'm super excited to see. Now, we thought, again, this was going to be kind of a collaboration. There was going to be a crossover, which could ultimately be in the future. But knowing what we know now, it seems like we are getting these 2 new Draconic heroes, which, of course, do have the ability to take on dragon form. So very, very excited to see exactly what they're going to come out with and how these are going to work. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.